Hello, everyone. Welcome for the third live session of Act Together. It's also the last one of the year 2020, which has been quite special for all of us. And this time we're going to talk about how children participate in local politics by listening to the experience of Maria and Nico, who are involved in children's committees in Bolivia. Just want to thank Emma, that is in the background, and she's helping us with all the tech. I'm thanking all the people that are joining us for this session right now, and that will be joining throughout the session. And thank also the Learning for Wellbeing Foundation for making possible these sessions. I'm going to introduce our guests, Maria, Belen, and Nicolas. So I already said a little bit about them. They are both involved in the children's committees in Bolivia, but with different roles and with a different outlook on what is happening there. So I always like to ask questions, this question to our guests. So I'm actually going to start with Nicolas and let him introduce himself. And I'll ask you, Nicolas, if you would choose three things that you think is important for the people that are listening to us right now to know about you. What would you say?
First of all, hello everybody. Hello Luis. Hello Maria. It's a pleasure to be here. I think that people should know that I am a part of the Children's Committee from the city of La Paz, from Bolivia, that I am an activist for human rights, especially children's rights, and that I am mainly a concerned citizen and a concerned kid, because I am 15 years old, that tries to make a difference for all the citizens, children, humans, youth, everyone from my city, and I try to change the world.
How about you, Maria? What would you say? Three things that you would like other people to know about you right now. Oh, we might have lost Maria. We were kind of prepared that this would happen, that internet can get a little unstable in La Paz, where you both are, but that's okay. So we'll just continue with you, Nicolas, and meanwhile, Maria will be able to connect again.
Okay,
that's cool. Yeah, she's back. She's back. Hi, Maria. You're muted. Yeah. So it's the same question. I already warned the people that are watching us and Nico that this might happen again. It's not a problem. We'll just go on, and you will join us when you can. How about that? So we were asking three things that you would like people to know about you in this call.
Hi, Luis. Hi, Nico. Sorry, connection is, you will know something more about this call today. Connection is really bad in Bolivia, so I hope we will get a better connection in the years to come. My name is Maria Belen. I'm from La Paz, Bolivia, originally. I am the director for Act2gether Latin America, and also work with the global team. And I'm very, very happy to have this call today and to be able to speak about the work in Bolivia too. Three things about me. I am a mom of a 3-year-old Irina. I love wine and chocolate, and I really love hugging people. So I'm having a lot of trouble during COVID time not being able to hug people. I'm very happy to be here.
So, Maria, why don't you tell us how you and Nicolas met? Because I think that will tell us a little bit about the theme of our call, which is about children participating in local politics.
Great. So a little bit of history. Act2gether is active in Bolivia for 2 years now. And when we arrived here, we started working with different children's committee. I will explain a little bit more afterwards, but in Bolivia we have a law, a code, children's code, that says that in every municipality of Bolivia there has to be one children's committee. So we were supporting the first two children's committee that we supported here in Bolivia for the elections, and then in how they were going to work afterwards. Was in El Alto and in La Paz, which are in the same department of Bolivia, but El Alto is the highest city, one of the highest cities in the world, 4,500 meters or almost, and La Paz is a little bit lower. So we started with these two committees, and I met Nico when they were after the elections afterward, because I wasn't part of there were very big municipal assemblies that Nico will tell more about for the election. But I was just, I was traveling, and I arrived when there was a big party to celebrate the new committee, and it was the official event. So that's the first time I saw Nico in this official event when he became a member of the children's committee.
So, Nico, can you tell us a little bit more about these committees? And I know that you have, when I learned about the role that you have in it, I thought it was quite funny. So if you can also, I mean, it's serious, but it's funny in the sense that we don't expect that role to exist. But actually, when you learn about what it means, it actually makes a lot of sense and makes you think there should be more of that around. So can you tell us a little bit about the committees? How did you get elected to the committee, and how are the roles assigned for the members of the committee?
Okay, so I was part of the children's committee from my city for for a little more than a year. The elections where we were chosen by a group of other children that also became part of the committee. Some of them, we are around 40 people that were just children from the ages ranging from 8 to a little over 18 years old. We work together, and my role here is the Secretary of Care. My role is for everyone to feel that they're being integrated, that they are being cared for, that none of them are being left out. My role is for us to care about each other and respect everyone. Also, I have a peer that works in the same field, because every role is filled with a male person and a female person for everyone to be integrated and no one to feel left out or not represented.
And how do you share that role with your partner in that role? Is it, how do you make decisions? How do you decide? How are you going to enact the role that you are assigned?
Mainly, we don't. Well, this is not that serious. Maybe yes, it is really important, and we take it really seriously. But there's not really a formality that we make to take decisions. We mainly just do that on the spot, because all of the committee, we are friends, we interact with each other, we are familiar with each other, so there's enough confidence with each other to tell when something's wrong, to say when you're doing something wrong or when something is being left out. So there's not like a really formal session or a reunion to take those decisions, because we're mainly friends. We care about each other and we want the best for each other. So we mainly do that on the spot, not taking any seriousness from it, but just being a little more kind and familiar with it.
So how do these, can you tell me examples of other roles in the committee? So yours is the you and your counterpart, they are the secretaries of care. What other roles are also existing in the committee, and how are they selected?
These roles are all selected by democracy. We voted inside of the committee. As I said, we chose a male person and a female person. So these roles we have, this is a role that the Secretary of Care that we invented, because they gave us the opportunity to do so, to feel like we are being we're being more part of the committee, then we want to make it our own, that we want to custom it. So we created that role that didn't exist in the committee for in the last 2 years. There are other more formal roles like the president, the vice president, the secretary of acts, and mainly that.
Yeah, maybe all of our governments should have secretaries of care. I think that would change the face of politics. One question, maybe for Maria, because I know that you didn't always live in Bolivia, so you are aware of other international contexts. At least in Portugal or in Europe, we hear a lot about children's councils, children's parliaments. Would you say that the children's committees are like that, or if they are different, in which way are they different?
The case of Bolivia is very interesting because since 2014, and it started implemented in 2015, we have this children's code, it's called, and it's all legal, everything that is related legally to, and the systems to respect children's rights. And this code has actually as a principle and as a right participation, and it really has a system that is thought through so that the participation can be a reality. It is a system on paper, but it's been a challenge since 2015 to really implement it. We've been advancing a lot. But how does it work is that there are what it's called students' governments in every school. And then from this students' government, you start working towards more leadership, more participation, partnership between generations too. That's the main idea. Then you have the municipal committees of children that are elected on a municipal level. Then you have the departmental children's committee that are more at a department level. So from the municipal, you should go to the department level. And then you have a national committees of children. So if this system would really be implemented totally as it was thought, it is really an advancement, and it's really something great. There are big challenges, especially this shift of mindset that we need in the adult world. But what I would say is that what is very special in Bolivia is that it's part of the law. You're legally, municipalities are legally bounded to have their children committees. And the departments too, and at a national level with the Ministry of Justice. So that's very important. In other countries where I worked, in France, for example, you have the municipal councils of children, or you have children's parliament that sometimes are very good initiatives from organizations or for groups of activists, sometimes also municipalities, but it's not something that is legally binding. So here it is. So it's a different challenge. Here it's how do we implement this great law that we have now. So that would be.
Yeah, I come more from the education sector, and one of the things that I always felt, for instance, about education policy, at least here in Portugal, is that education policy was really beautiful from a curriculum point of view. It was holistic, but then how you translate it to practice was really the difficulty. But at least you got that, you got that framework, that ground on which you can build. And it's incredible that basically it anticipates structures at all these different levels, ongoing structures, not just, one-off session. So really congratulations to Bolivia for that. Nicolas, would you tell us, and I'm actually going to thank all the people that are listening to us and that are following this conversation. We already got a few comments of support from fans of our guests. So a big thank you to them for the support and for being with us during this session. So coming back to the questions, so Nicolas, I was about to forget this, and it's a very important thing to do. So what are the activities of the committee? What are the projects, the concrete things that the committee is doing at the moment and that you might be involved with?
During the year, we have had many different activities that many of them couldn't have been completed because of the pandemic. We originally had a work plan that we had to change during May. So mainly all of our activities have been online, with focusing maybe with working with other groups, talking to them. We have talked to older people, we have talked to people of the third age, we have talked with different, also we have talked to different authorities. We have been working on them many with papers. We also have been working uh, with different activities for people to present us their own ideas for us to make them real. We had a contest of that. We also launched our webpage that you will be able to find in the comments. It's cnnalapaz.com, as you can see in the screen right now. That's a way that people can contact us. We've been working also with the local government. We've been talking to them. So mainly this year has not been maybe the most normal for us. We would have had many more activities with participation, but mainly this year we had to talk and prepare for the future, for future also committees, for future members, for future children. We need to prepare them because this year was mainly for that, to prepare and to look forward.
So can you tell me, because you talked a little bit, okay, you're talking about preparing what's going to happen. I think we can expect a new world now as we're starting to see the light at the end of the COVID tunnel. But can you tell me what were the things that were really worrying you when this pandemic came and the committee was like, what are we going to do? How are we going to do the job that we wanted to do? What were the things that were on your minds?
I think that I can talk for many of my peers from the committee when I say that one of the things that worried us the most was the safety for the health of children. And another thing that was really important for us was the education, and it still really is. We're working on that because of the pandemic, education has been different. We had to have many online classes, but not all people had access to that, mainly in rural areas. So we really had to work on that. It was really tough. It still is really tough. We're working on that. But as you said, things are starting to change. We're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Everything's going better now, but health has been really important. We have tried to mainly inform about that to children. We have had many campaigns. We launched many videos, many initiatives for people to stay safe, to stay at their homes, because not every right here in Bolivia, many rights are being vulnerated for children. So that's difficult, and now because of the pandemic, that has been even more difficult, because they needed to a couple of months ago when we were in quarantine, they needed to stay at home, but not every kid, not every minor person could, because of work, because of school, and many other activities. But we really are, and we're still working on that. But we're really proud of what we have accomplished in these difficult times.
Do you feel, Nicholas, that because children and young people are the ones sending out the message, because you said we create a lot of information campaigns to give some guidance to other young people, do you feel that they somehow feel more reassured, or that they take that message better because children and people are the ones delivering the message? Or you think it doesn't really matter that they would listen to any message that would be offered to them?
As a minor, I can say that representation is key, because sometimes even unconsciously we don't listen to adults the same way that we listen to ourselves. So this, that we as minors are sending the message, I think it's really important, because many times they listen to us because we understand some of the things, we represent them. So that's really, really important. That's something that people need to know. So I think that we are sending the message, we are creating videos, it's coming from minors' mouths to them, that it is really important, and they mainly think that that's true. That's more true than if a grown-up told them that. So coming from us, I think that it's better for children to do things if we tell them to, because it's for their own safety and we understand it.
Yeah, I think you said something that I mean, it speaks to me. The idea of representation is key. We say that for all other identities. So why would that be important for children too? You think, oh, there's not enough people of color, there's not enough women, there's not. But I think because it's a world of adults, and that's those who are making the decision, we never think, oh, there's not enough children represented in this message. Okay, just a little another thank you to the people that are giving our support: Oslem Nur, CJ, Tatiana, Andrea, Pilar, Nestre, Konstantinos, Michelle. They're all sending comments. Don't look at them too much, or else we'll get distracted from the conversation. But I just want you to know that they are there, and that they are watching us, and that they are supporting us. There's a question from Andrea, but I actually want to get to that a little bit more towards the end. But I invite anybody that is listening to us to really leave your questions, your comments, and I'll try to pick them as we go in a conversation. Okay, so maybe now moving to Maria, because you look a little bit more at the committees from the organizational side and supporting what is the theme of our call, which is children changing. Well, it's not written there, but it's changing local politics. So my question to you is, what are the aims of these committees, and have you seen signs of actually changing local politics through the participation of children in these committees in particular?
Well, what is important, how we started also, why we started supporting the elections for several committees, is because it's really important for these committees to be seen first, because as Nico was saying, we live, well, in the whole world, but in Bolivia we live in a very, very adult-centered society. Even for example, in our language, for example, when Nico was saying minors and grown-ups, that's something that is really used in Bolivia. You say minors all the time. That's the word you use in Spanish, menores, and you don't use children and adults, for example, much more, right? So that's something that the code came and wanted to change. That's to always say children and adults, and to change the culture that we need to change here, and even in how we talk, in how we refer to each other. So I think first, what's important is for these committees to exist. That's what we've been trying to push, so that they can be seen, and then you can see that this leadership, because we also have the other side. We have an adult-centered society, but we also have activism from the early ages. Like you have really here children and young people that have organizations. The working children have amazing organizations that have been fighting for their rights for a very, very long time, for more than 30 years. You have this is a very political society, so everyone is talking always about politics, and children are in that, but they are not being heard. So they're gaining this institutional space with the committees now. What we've been trying to promote is to have very big and public elections. so that they can be, that this is also a way for them to be seen in the process. So we have a whole process of communications campaigns for the elections, so that everyone knows that there are these committees, that there will be elections, and different children really have been not in these assemblies, not because of the school, not because of it's because they have seen somewhere, they have seen the announcement somewhere. So that's really great, because you have a diversity. Now the committees, yes, we have some success stories after 5 years now. There's been two. How do you say, they stay for 2 years in their roles, and then there are elections again. They have a mandate of 2 years. So now, since 2015, there were the first committees. There were not a lot. Now there are much more. We just finished mapping with Act2gether in the country all the committees, and then we know that we have 1/3 of the municipalities now that have a committee. But really, a few success stories. Like we have 10 to 15 success stories, but where we know like how it can really work. One example is where Nico is in La Paz, where they really have a connection, a daily connection with the local government. They have an access to them. They can propose. Now they are also an institution. They have a website. They have so it's really they are really influencing. And what Nico was saying, during the pandemic, the opportunity also was for all of these success stories of the committees. There are 17 committees now in a network, in a national network that is called Committees in Action. And in this network, they are sharing information. They are online now, so they don't need to travel between the departments. They can work at a national level more easily, and they have been producing a lot. They have been trained at the beginning of the year in a tool that is called citizens communication, for communication for the transformation of society. And they are producing their own products now. They're producing videos, they're producing infographics, they're doing communications campaigns in different subjects. So they are from their own local communities, and I think that is really also something that is influencing the community in general.
Would you say, very briefly, would you say that those might have been, actually, I might ask you, Nicolas, do you feel that the COVID times and the push for electronic means of communication somehow boosted the online connection between these different committees, these 17 committees that are spread all over Bolivia? I mean, a lot of people got excluded, but those who had access to the communication, maybe they formed bonds or not. I don't know. I'm just wondering.
Yes, I think that the point that we didn't have a way to be together, like in a room to plan things, really pushed the way the committees interact with each other. Now we use more social media than ever to work together. We use Facebook, how I said, and also Maria said, we have to use our own website. We have different groups with the other committees. We're working in Committees in Action. And really, the pandemic, even though it has been really hard for us to work that way, it has also pushed us to like a new era for us to work, where we don't have to just meet in a room. We have to transportate like long distances just for us to see each other and plan some things. We can now use online meetings, and that is, I think it's really important and has helped in some way that all committees now, the way that they interact with each other, it has really helped us in a way.
So actually, I wanted to move. I know that we're getting questions. Just stick with us. I'm going to bring these questions, which are more about the government and how can we support more child participation at this more country level. I actually wanted to get first to the very personal and then move back to that level. So all the people, Andrea, Oslem Nur, that are asking questions, stick with us. I'll get to them. You are not forgotten. So to Nicolas, I wanted to ask you, I think a lot of the, let's say, the real change sometimes happens not just, of course, these are important to create spaces, structures, committees at all these levels, but it's also about your ability to communicate and be taken seriously with people, normally adults, who have power to make decisions. Okay. And so, can you tell me a little bit what is your experience so far of engaging with adults that have a responsibility for, policy in an area that you live and that the committee is working on?
Now that the committee is in action, now that I'm a part of the committee, I think that most of adults take us really seriously. They take us as an institution. They take us like we're in the same level of them. Something that I didn't thought was possible before I knew of the committee. So most adults really take us seriously. At least for my experience, it has been really great working with them. Most of them have really helped us, have really been a part of the work that we do. So it has been everything great, at least for my experience, as I said. So we are being well represented. They are taking us seriously. So that's so great.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying something important. So you're saying that knowing that you have this structure and that you have an official role and that this is well established gives you somehow, I don't know, gives you this self-assurance to engage with policymakers, decision makers as equals. I bet you are very well prepared because you know your stuff and you do the work before you have these meetings. Would you say that the adults you meet are also equally prepared to engage with children and young people in the committees, Nicolas?
Yes, of course. At least as I repeat, from my experience, most of the adults we talk to know who we are, know who are they talking about, and what is our line of work. So yes, sometimes it happens that we need to explain to them, or they just think they're talking to some random children. But yes, we are something official, and most of them know that. Most of them respect us, and they take us extremely seriously.
So maybe we can actually take one of the questions that relates to this idea of influencing decisions at the local level. And this is a question to Maria from Oslem Nur. Do the children committees have a legally binding power to affect municipal decisions? So meaning, okay, is there any way that the local authorities really have to integrate or take in consideration and show what they did or did not do with the recommendations from the committees?
Yes. At the beginning, one of the strategies was to take everything that was legally binding. Then we realized that it's sometimes the best way to go is to really the best way to convince others is not to say, okay, this is just legally binding, but it's also to show them how this could work, that it can work and it can have a positive impact. So we've been trying to support the committees to have more like working sessions with authorities, working sessions with people that are in charge of different things in local governments, education, health, when they have a proposal, so that they can really, legally on the code, what is said is that the committees have the power to influence public policy locally, and then they have to be part of all the planning processes in the local government. So that's what is legally binding. So we take that so that we can, during the periods of planning, here, have different working sessions, meetings, always intergenerational. The committee sometimes they work aside, they have this proposal, and then they go to the secretariat that is in charge of education or health, or so that has been happening in this kind of committees. And I think that the goal the goal that they have is to really be able to influence, is to have a budget. So that happens in La Paz, and that happens in a few municipalities. There are really 2 or 3 for now, but I think that's the higher stage of influence, is when you participate in the stage of planning, and then you know that you have a budget that is allowed for the committee to really implement their own projects. That's where they really have this power of impact. And Nico can tell you more about this contest. That, for example, they had a budget this year to do a project, and they did a contest, and then they could apply the budget to this project. So that's, I think, where they get the more influence.
Mm-hmm. Before I'll ask Nicolas to tell us more about that. There's one question from Antola, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly, from Greece, that is interested in the children's code that you mentioned in the beginning, Maria. Do you know if there is a version of that in English?
I don't know if there's a version from the Bolivian children's code, but I'll try to find one to put it in the comments, or at least I'll put the Spanish one. And then maybe some Google Translate could help, but I'll see if there is a translation in English.
Thank you. Okay, so Nicolas, tell me, one of the things I've been more or less involved with, looking at examples of participation of children and young people, and the tendency is that normally they are involved in the very beginning of creating policy, of making decisions, in the planning, imagining stages, and then not more, and then that's it. And you're actually an example of someone who got involved in the design, but also implementation through the budget. And why don't you tell me a little bit about that, and then I'll ask the other question. How was that process of actually having a budget to implement the project that you have defined?
The committee has the most influence at the beginning, at the planning for the whole year. So that's when we present most of our ideas. That's where we are given a budget. So we have most of our influence from that part, but we also implement our projects. We propose many things as the year goes. So we continue working the whole year. We are part of everything. We're part of change, and we can even propose new things. As you said, we had a contest where we applied our budget. So we work on that. There's not just that we just plan it and then we leave it to the other authorities for it to be done. Just we do everything. We get also much help from other authorities that we need to sometimes work together for it to happen. But we keep an eye on everything. We do some other things, and during the year we also present and do other projects.
Can you give me just an example, like very concretely, of an activity that you've done thanks to a budget you have guaranteed from your interactions with the local authorities?
Yes, one of the things that stayed from the original plan for this year that we then had to modify, but one thing that stayed was a contest. As Maria said, we are very proud of that because we heard from the citizens, we heard from other children, and that was so great. I'm so proud of that. I wasn't really into that, but it makes me so happy, and I want to talk about it. So we had a contest for children to present their ideas, and then we would choose one, the best one, and we would make it happen. So we we really had many ideas presented. Some of them were extremely great. We would like to make all of them, and we will eventually try to. But the the ones that won, we're really proud of that because we heard from the community, we heard from other children, not just from the committee. So that was.
Nicolas, you're sounding like a little politician. So I'm going to ask this question again to see if you can answer me. Can you tell me one idea that got accepted and implemented from those many suggestions that were given? Which one's won? Which one got the budget to be implemented?
As I said, I wasn't really working in depth of that. I was on the outside. I was helping. I wasn't part of the jury to help that. I was working on the videos to promote health and for children to stay safe. So I was.
I can add if you.
Sorry, I'm being like one of those United States elections, debate moderator. I need to.
No, but it's also because they work in commissions. So there was this great campaign that Nico was saying. There was a great campaign for health, for caring for our health during the COVID crisis, and that was one commission. There was another commission for the contest, but the one that won, it's really interesting because now communication for societal transformation is really it's becoming something very important due to the COVID situation. And the one that won was that it was a program made by children from a group that is called Your Life, Your Decision. They work in sexual rights, like that's called sexual education, sexual rights. And they did different programs, podcastings. They did different podcasts. They created a Facebook page, and they did a lot of interventions. It was a communications campaign that was very impressive.
So I'm just going to take this opportunity to tell people that are watching us or listening to us that they can still ask questions to our guests. We are in the last sprint of our Act Together live session. Thank you for everybody that has been participating until now, whether through comments or through questions. So continuing, I'm going to go back to you, Nico, because I think a lot of people are interested. I actually heard a colleague of mine, and she was talking about her own children. People that are working in this field, child participation, the democratic participation of all citizens, regardless of their identities. They think that everybody should be interested in this, and everybody should be doing their best to be interested. But I wonder what you would say about that reality, at least in Bolivia, for you and people your age. Would you say that most people your age are interested in being part of spaces like the committees?
I think that many children, many underage persons really want to make their voices heard. So many of them are really interested in this. But a problem that I'm really concerned about is that not everyone knows that a children's committee exists. So that's one of our biggest challenges for us to be known. We really need to push that. So if more people would know that we exist, I think that we would have much more people would be interested. But at least for now, it's not like that. Many people that do know about this like to join. They want to join. They want to be part of this. They want to help. But because not everyone is aware that we exist, it's really difficult. So I think that we should really push that. And I am sure we'll be working on that.
There was a comment from Martin that was saying, great job, all of them are brave kids. Many members of the committee come from poor families and they work for all children of La Paz. So I'm linking this with the question that I just asked you. What kind of children, how do you get more children and more different kinds of children to know that there is this opportunity to be part of the committees, and what are the profiles of children that belong to the committee, that get elected to the committee, their background, for instance.
All the members of the committee are from different parts of the municipality, so we were from every we represent most of the municipalities, so we chose the people that were from everywhere from La Paz. So yes, the representation is there. And to expand, as I was saying, we have been working on presenting ourselves and really pushing our presence on social media. And not everyone has access to that, so we're working on pushing with in other mediums like TV or radio. We want to do that, but for now we're working in social media because that was like the biggest part for now, because more people can see us in it. It's faster to expand there. We work on getting to people in rural areas where there's not much internet, and maybe we shouldn't reach there with TV or radio. So we were trying to work on that. But we have, as I said, members of all profiles from the municipality, so that is covered, but we need to push our presence to every part of the city.
So now maybe I could take one of the questions that was asked already a while ago by Andrea, and now we're maybe taking a step back and looking at the work of the committee more from the outside, or the committees. Andrea was wondering, and this was actually a question to you, Nico, but I'll actually ask both of you, starting with you, Nicholas. What do you think that governments can do to really create the right conditions for children to participate in a way that matters? So from your experience, since you've been involved in this in the committee, what would you say the government can or should do?
We are given the tools to work with them. Our voices are heard, we are being taken into consideration, but I really think governments should work more close together with children, because not all adults take us seriously, because we are really young sometimes, and we don't know about really deep, we're not really deep into politics. But they should hear us either way, because from a different point of view, maybe things look different. So as a minor, I see that many times we adults are focusing on things that they shouldn't be, and maybe they should focus on other things, like in, for example, education. Adults can sometimes look in the sense of just health and not going to school, just going through online classes. But not everyone has access to that. As the comments were saying, there are children of all profiles. Some of them don't have access to the internet, and we really work on that for them to really be a part of it. So they should take us more in count. They should see that our voices are like in the priority, because when grown-ups try to think like kids, they don't make the right decision most of the time. So I think that they should really push our presence, and they should treat us like equals most of the time.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing what you're saying, because for instance, if I would try to think like a woman in order to represent their views in my decisions, most of the times I would just get into a caricature, because I cannot pretend. But because adults were all children once, they think, oh, I know what it is to think for a child or as a child. But probably they might be just doing a caricature too, because also the child they were might not be necessarily the same as being a child today. So funny enough, I'll just, Maria, if you don't mind, I'll continue with Nico, because Tola and Osem Nur, they asked a question which is very similar. They basically they want to know the difficult part. They want to know the challenges, because you're so optimistic, Nicholas. So like, oh, everybody's so nice. The politicians really listen to us. Everybody's so good willing. But they want to know, did you ever feel frustration in trying to bring an idea across, convince adults that you're working with, and where they're going to spend the money? So they want to know, did you ever feel any frustration around that, an experience of challenge, and what kind of support is there available for you to overcome those challenges when you face them?
I think that frustration maybe is a kind of strong word, but yes, there have been times that I was not completely that I didn't agree 100% with the things that many adults or sometimes even my peers said. So that's sometimes a difficult part. I try to be optimistic about it and think that maybe sometimes we just think that our position is the right one, so it's really difficult to go away from that position. So I try to keep myself open-minded. I try to see other people's point of view, and yes, sometimes the things that I am pushing or the things that I am rooting for are not always the things that are being done. So yes, there has been times where I was a little frustrated, but it mainly has been great, and we agree on many things. We have to change some minds, some opinions, and not 100% of the times everyone is happy, but we try to make the best out of it.
Let's see what Maria has to say about this. So maybe I'll combine the two questions. I'll ask you, Maria, what challenges have you faced? If maybe if you have many, focus on one. And what do you think the government could do in terms of allowing or supporting child participation in Bolivia?
There are a lot of challenges because what is really great to move forward is that now we have success stories, and now we have examples like the committee where Nico is, where we can see why we want to support this, how it changes society, and how really it works. But they are not the majority. There are a few in the country for now. What's the difference? I think the big difference is political will. I think that once you find partners in this, in the local governments, and it has to come from everywhere, not only the head, not only the mayor, but also the secretaries in charge, and then all the technical support that you need, and it has to be good. It has to come from everywhere. But if you find adults that want to change this too, that if you find partners and that what they want to really work in partnership with children, and there is this political will where they really want to take into account the voices of children and young people, that's where it changes. Because where we have the most challenges is where really the children's issues are not an issue in the municipality. When you need to come to it's called the Defenders of Rights office that is in charge of the committees in the municipalities here. So you go and you talk to them, and they don't know even like what a committee is, but they also don't want to hear about children's participations or even children's rights. And we have really, really high rates of violence. We live in a country where really children's rights are being vulnerated big time, all the time. So, and we really need to convince. So I think the big challenges is to find the partners, the adult partners that are willing to really have this shift of mindset, of attitude, and also to let go of power, because that's the main issue, to let go a little bit of power, to be able to be pairs with them, and that's really that's a big challenge. Bureaucracy is another one here. You have to make things work. You have a lot of bureaucracy. You have to ask the permission of 10 different authorities, and so when there is no political will, you need to convince one, and then another, and then another. So where it has worked is really that you have at a higher level, you have mayors involved that believe in child participation, and they want they know the impact of a children's committee. So that's where it works. So biggest challenge is cultural change, I think.
Okay, so we're really in the last minutes of our conversation. Normally we would, I sometimes ask for like a message to leave to other people, like something to encourage everybody to get to know what spaces for participation are there in their countries. But let's just take that as a granted that people listening to us are going to do that. I'm more or less aware of what's happening in Portugal, but everybody could go and check for themselves what's available and how they can support, or at least tell other children, because Nico's really alerted us to the fact that some children don't even know that it's a possibility. So maybe it starts there. But the question I wanted to end with is actually asking each of you personally. And when I say this is not what do you think adults gain or what do you think children gain, but you, Nicolas, you, Maria, what do you gain from this work? Like, since you started engaging with the children's committees, what do you feel was the most important shift or growth inside of you that you got from being involved in this work? Maybe I'll start with you, Maria, if that's okay.
Yeah. I think what I personally, what I gain is to really be able to learn from all of these children and young people. I think I learn all the time, but also not only it's the trust. I get to experience what I preach. I think that's what I really, because with this with the committees especially, I think it is a space where we can really shift this mindset, where we can really show how this can actually work. And I have the privilege to have the trust of children and young people in these committees, and we can really hear each other. We can they push us to they really pushed us to create this national network, for example, in March, and we were really lost because we don't have we had a small team. It was a big project, but they really pushed us to do so, to find funds for so they are also pushing us. They know the way, but they really need our support, and they have ideas. We learn from those ideas. We change our ideas because of what they say, and I get really to experience what I think is going to really change society.
Thank you, Maria. How about you, Nicolas? So how would you say this work with the committee has changed you somehow?
Working with the committee has changed me in so many ways. It has changed mainly my perspective on so many things. But I think one of the most important parts of this is that we're paving the way for better and bigger change, because things are just starting in a place where our rights are being vulnerated every day, where we are, as children, we are not being taken seriously. We are being all of our rights are not being respected as they should. I think that working with the committee has really opened my eyes on how things are made, how things start to change. And I really think that we are paving the way, and the committee before us paved the way for us. But this is just the start of a bigger and better change here in Bolivia, especially in La Paz. And I think that that's really important, and that future committees, future generations are really going to appreciate it. At least I hope so. And I think that we will change, and we will make our rights be respected, and children will be a bigger part of our society, at least here in Bolivia, thanks to the work that we are doing, that was made, and that will be made.
Yeah, and my hope is that children will be a bigger part, not only in Bolivia, and that other countries, maybe through this and many other things that are happening around the world, can show the example and the benefits that we all gain when all voices, regardless of their age, are brought to the conversation. We're at the end of our session. I wanted to thank you very, very much for taking the time to be with us, to share your experience and your enthusiasm about children's participation in local decisions. I want to thank all the people that have been with us, that share their opinions, support, that ask their questions. Thank you for being in the last session of this year. And also thank you to Emma, that she's in the background making all the little pictures move around. She's our technical support, and also the Learning for Wellbeing Foundation for making this happen. So to you and to everybody listening to us, thank you, and a big, great wishes for the year 2021. May that be the year where children do play a bigger role in making decisions. Thank you.